So you're looking at buying your first home, or maybe you haven't purchased a home in a while. Here's some important things to know as you are moving through the process. My name is Anna Kibble, and I'm your partner for everything real estate here in the Denver metro area. Let's talk about preparing to buy your home. It starts with the financial preparation. So let's go through what that entails. The very first step is your lender pre approval. Now, sometimes we may be at the very beginning of the process. Maybe we think we're 6 months or a year away from being able to purchase a home, or maybe our lease isn't up for another 9 months and we're just starting the process. I believe it's never too early to start talking with a mortgage lender. And you want to actually talk to somebody either face to face or over the telephone because there are some variables and some strategy that goes along with mortgage lending. Yes, you can hop online to Rocket Mortgage or whatever and get an online pre approval, but it's not the same as actually having that consultation with a real live human being. Why is that? Well, there are a lot of variables. There are different loan programs that require different credit scores. There are different loan programs that might be of use for a first time home buyer, um, for a veteran, for somebody who either has a very large down payment or doesn't have a down payment. So it's really important to speak with a mortgage professional, get that pre approval. Now, when you're early on in the process, sometimes you won't get the pre approval. They aren't able to say you're able to get a loan. But what they will say is, okay, with some small tweaks in your credit or with a little more time on at your employer, right? A little more time on your job, we're able to give you the pre-approval. And that helps you really to set the stage for what needs to happen in preparation for purchasing your home. Here's an important thing to remember. When you're getting that lender pre-approval, it should always be a complimentary, no fee consultation. If you're speaking with a lender who wants to charge you a fee or make you sign some sort of an agreement to get a pre-approval, then reach out to me. I can give you a recommendation to a lender who won't do that. You should never be paying a fee to get a loan pre-approval. Once you've had that conversation with the lender, they're going to help you determine what type of loan you're getting to purchase your new home, and that would mean what type of down payment you need to be prepared for. Now, VA loans, if you're a veteran and have access to your VA benefit loan, that doesn't require any down payment. Now, first time homebuyers can even use grant programs such as CHAFA to purchase a home with as little as $1,000 down. Most commonly, we see these FHA loans at 3.5% down, or conventional loans anywhere from 5 to 20% down. Your loan officer will work through these scenarios with you. On top of your down payment, there are additional funds due at closing. These are called closing costs, and they cover a variety of fees that are required to transact the sale of the real estate and conduct your mortgage loan. You can expect this to be, between 1 and 2% of the purchase price. Your lender will give you a very solid estimate depending on the loan type you get for closing costs. Now, closing costs don't always have to be cash that comes out of your pockets. Sometimes we can actually ask the seller of the home or the builder, if you're getting a new build, to cover some of those closing costs. And that's called a seller concession. Depending on the type of market that we're in, seller concessions are actually fairly common. And instead of, say, asking the seller to lower the price $5,000, for instance, on your home purchase, you might keep the purchase price where it is and ask them to offer you $5,000 in concessions instead. Generally, for the seller, there's no difference to them. But for you, that $5,000 could help cover your down payment or closing costs, or buy down your interest rate, which is something your lender can talk to you about, and can make a much bigger difference on your monthly payment than just reducing the price by $5,000. So that's something we'll definitely talk about when we're in the home search process. Now, to get into your home, there's always a type of deposit. If you're working in the new construction community, this deposit is usually $5,000 to $10,000. Could be more if you're working on a very high-end home. If you're looking at purchasing a resale home from a traditional seller, usually that earnest money is what it's called, is about 1% of the purchase price. So for a $500,000 home, that might be $5,000. You can, this needs to be a liquid asset. So if you're using, say, money from your 401k, or you're selling your house to buy another house, well, the earnest money would need to happen prior probably to that transaction. So we just need to plan in advance. Now, the earnest money is also negotiable. So let's say they're asking for $5,000, but you can do $3,500. We might be able to negotiate that. Okay. The other piece of the earnest money is this is part of your down payment. It remains your money the whole time you're going through the transaction. It's just held by a third party, like the title company. And so it's a show of good faith that you are planning on proceeding with the purchase of that home. Now, in most instances, should you decide not to proceed with the purchase of that home, you will likely be entitled to getting your earnest money back. However, if you terminate the transaction for a reason that's not covered in your contract, then the earnest money may be forfeit to the seller to cover their hardship as well. So that's something that we would talk about, but it's just important to know that you would need to have this money available kind of at the beginning of your home search. Agent compensation. So when you're working with a real estate agent like me as your buyer's agent, we have a fee for our engagement in your transaction, but our compensation most commonly gets paid by the seller. So when we are working via our buyer agency agreement, it allows us to actually negotiate with the seller or the builder to pay our fee, so it doesn't have to be factored into what comes out of your pocket. So that's great news. Okay, so once you're financially prepared for the purchase of your new home, we can talk a little bit more about the purchase process. For most of us, this is the fun part. This is where we actually start to search for and see homes. So once you financially know what you need, we will have a in-depth consultation to really dive into what's important to you for your new home, and we will set up a custom home search for you with the most accurate information that we can get. I say that because some of the websites online that you're probably looking at homes on currently don't always have accurate information. So we want to make sure that you have the best information when you are searching for homes. Once we've found homes that meet your criteria, we'll set up a tour. Sometimes we only need to see one house and we know that that's the one. And sometimes we may see 8 or more homes before we know that that's the one. At each property, we're going to discuss what you like and what you do not like about the home. It helps us really zero in on finding the right home for you. During the process of touring, we'd have a touring and buyer agency agreement. This agreement allows me to represent you and be your fiduciary, which means I'm looking out for and negotiating and advising upon your best interests. This is also the document that allows me to negotiate to have my fee paid for by the builder or seller. So it protects your interests all the way through as we're working with a touring and buyer agency agreement. We can set this agreement for whatever period of time we deem most appropriate. If you and I are just meeting for the first time, perhaps this agreement just covers the day we meet or the home we're going to see. Should we decide to work together for a longer period of time, this agreement could cover the entire home search. Once you've found the home you would like to write an offer on first, we will write an offer to the seller to purchase the home or an offer to the builder to purchase the home. We'll look at different things like the purchase price you're offering for the home, any seller concessions that you need, and we'll also take into account your timeline and any other key contingencies to the contract. Now, Your loan process will work with the loan officers to see how long they need to close on the purchase of your home as well. It's very common once you've written an offer to close about a month later. So you can kind of pencil that in to have about 30 days of this under contract period. And during that period, what we're doing is we're getting your professional home inspection done. This is a very important part of any home purchase. It allows you to kind of pull back the curtain and see what's really happening with the home. Now, in every single home, even a brand new luxury home, right? There's something that's not 100% right. There's something either broken or done incorrectly or just over time has worn out. And your home inspector is going to help point those things out. Now, just because the home has maybe needs a repair or a little bit of work doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to move forward with the purchase of the home. But what it does mean is that we get to have a conversation with the seller about how we move forward with that. Does that repair need to happen before you purchase the home? Or is that a repair that maybe you're comfortable just living with? It's part of the home, and you know that it's there, but you're okay moving forward. And that's what we're going to have the home inspection do. They're going to look at all of the major systems like the electrical, the roof, the plumbing, the heating and air conditioning system. So we'll look through all of those. Then your lender will hire a professional appraiser of the property. This appraiser will give them a professional opinion of the home's value to just make sure that they are lending money on a product that is worth the money they're lending. Typically, there is a fee for that appraisal, but it gets rolled into your closing costs. So it may not be something that comes out of your pocket at the time of the appraisal, but it may be something that gets paid for at closing. During this process, your loan will be in what they call underwriting. Underwriting is when your original loan officer has everything they need about the home you're purchasing and about you and your situation, and they send it to the underwriter, who really is going to be the one who's approving your loan. Now, your underwriter will look for and confirm all of the documentation, and sometimes they need documentation, new documentation of something you've already sent. Or they may ask you to write a letter explaining something that maybe you've even talked to your loan officer about on the phone. All of this is very common. It's very normal, and it's not cause for concern. It's their job to document your situation. And sometimes the best way to do that is by having you write a letter. Once everything's said and done, we're going to head to the closing table. Like I said, this happens usually about a month after you've found and contracted on the home. Closing is the final event where you sign all of the loan documents, the funds transfer, and you get to take ownership of your new home. Now, oftentimes you get to move in right away, but sometimes that's not the case. And we would talk about that if that were your situation. But here's the important thing. The funds that you'll need for your down payment, closing costs, all of that would need to be delivered to the title company via a wire transfer. And it should be sent at least the day before closing to make sure that it arrives on time. Now, wire fraud is a very real thing where people try to give you fake wiring instructions to commandeer your hard-earned money. So there are some rules around how we give you wiring instructions, and it would always be delivered via a secure means, and we'll help you verify all of that at the time. Now, here's some fun things to look out for. Once you have started the process of purchasing your new home, here's some things that can be a red flag and may set you back in the process. So, warning, do not do anything that changes your financial situation when you're shopping for a home or under contract on a home without discussing it with that loan officer prior. Okay. Or just hold off until after closing. Don't make any big purchases. I know you might need a whole house full of new furniture, but you'll have to wait until after closing to purchase that, unless your loan officer says it's okay. All right. Don't have anyone pull your credit. Credit pulls can actually be impactful on your credit score. And we don't want anything to change while you're in the process here. If you have any big deposits from like a sale or a friend paid you back, or even get this, working extra overtime can sometimes change your financial situation, right? You may make more money than, say, your traditional salary. And it could, if you're in like a first time homebuyer program that has income restrictions, it could set you over the threshold. So we want to be really careful if we're close to that. Changing jobs during the home purchase journey can definitely set you back, as your loan officer is going to look for your time at your current employment. Opening and closing credit accounts can change your credit score and your situation. So definitely double check that. And liquidating any investments could change your financial situation. So you want to talk to your loan officer about that. Um, of course, as you're going through the process, right? It's my job to be your partner throughout the entire journey. So reach out to me at 303-669-2194 to partner with you on your journey to home ownership. And check out the comments below where you can download a handy worksheet that helps you keep track of the steps as you're on your way.